All right. So in the last video, I mentioned that if you multiply or divide by a positive number, you do not have to reverse the symbol. But if you multiply or divide by a negative number, that's when you have to reverse the symbol. So right here, I want to solve for x, which means I have to divide by 4. Because the number I'm dividing by is a positive, I'm going to keep that as less than or equal to. So this becomes x is less than or equal to negative 25. It does not matter that the 100 is negative. It only matters if the number we're dividing by is positive or negative. So my variable is on the left, so that means I'm going to shade in the direction this arrow points, which is to the left. 25. Okay, so negative 24, negative 25 would be right in here. And I'm going to put my little negative 25 there. And I'm going to shade to the left. And because it's equal to, I am going to use a bracket. And then for my interval, negative infinity, and it goes up to a negative 25. The 25 has a bracket, and infinity always gets parentheses. All right, now this example, on the other hand, we're dividing by a negative. When you divide by a negative, you have to reverse the symbol. So I'm dividing by a negative 9, but I'm going to reverse that symbol is greater than 9. So here's my 9. I'm going to shade in this direction. There's no line underneath. It's not equal to, so I'm going to use parentheses. And my interval shading starts over here on the left side at 9. And it continues to go all the way up to infinity. There's parentheses on the 9, and infinity always gets parentheses. Okay, so in general, you're going to simplify each side. That may include using the distributive property to clear any parentheses, clear any fractions or decimals. You may have to combine like terms. You're going to get the variable on one side, the number on the other, and then you are going to divide by the coefficient so that you can get the variable by itself. Super important, guys. Don't forget, reverse the direction of the inequality symbol only when multiplying or dividing by a negative number. All right, so we've got lots of stuff going on here. I am going to first get rid of the parentheses by distributing. I'm going to distribute, make sure you remember that this is negative. So I have 6x, 6 times negative 1. I'm going to distribute my negative 3. And then I'm going to combine like terms. I have my x's that I can combine on the left. And my x's I'm going to combine on the right. I'm going to add 4x. Remember, you get the x's together first. And then I'm going to add 6. Let's go up here. 13x is greater than or equal to 0. I'm dividing by a positive number. So my symbol is going to stay the way it is. Also, don't forget, if I take 0 and divide it by a number, that's going to be 0. So I'm going to put a bracket because it is equal to. And then my interval notation, my shading starts on the left side at 0. It ends on the right side at infinity. And the 0 has a bracket on it. I could tell that because it was equal to. Infinity always gets parentheses. All right, this one has fractions, so we need to get rid of the fractions very first. Wait to distribute, otherwise it's going to be more frustrating than it needs to be. So we look at all of the denominators for each of our terms. So this is a term plus this term is less than or equal to this term. So we've got three terms. We've got this one, and that one. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply our least common multiple. Don't forget to multiply the 2. Everybody always forgets to multiply the 2. 4 goes into 4 once. 1 times 1 is 1. Wait to distribute. 4 times 2. 4 goes into 4 once. 1 times 3. Wait to distribute. Okay. Once you've eliminated the fractions, then distribute. Okay, so wait until this step to distribute. Now we're going to distribute x plus 3, multiply my 3. Don't forget to multiply the 3 times the 8. I'm going to combine like terms. So my 3 plus 8 is 11. Get the x's together first. Try as best you can to make sure the end result is positive. So I'm going to subtract my x. And subtract my 24. And divide by a positive 2. Okay, now I want to rewrite this so that my variable's on the left side instead of the right. Don't forget, when you rewrite it, when you switch sides like this, you have to reverse the symbol. Okay, so and it's not gonna, I knew it was gonna happen. All right, so a lot of students have trouble graphing this improper fraction. It's easier to graph if you make it a mixed number. So 2 goes into 13 6 times. So it would be -6.5. Okay, so -6.5. So it's between -6 and -7. And I have to shade to the right. It's equal to, so I'm going to put a bracket. And because it's in between, I do have to label it. And I want you to label it with a improper fraction. Not the -6.5. I want -13/2. All right, so interval notation. We're starting on the left at -13/2. And we end on the right with infinity. All right, 3-part inequalities. That is pretty descriptive. What I mean to say is there's literally 3 parts. There's a part here and a part in the middle and a part over here. And so we would have some sort of symbols in between. Something that I need to point out is that it's always going to be less than or equal to. Okay, when you have a 3-part inequality, it's got to be pointing to the left. For some applications necessary to work with a 3-part inequality, this would be an example. This says that x plus 2 is between 3 and 8. If we were to solve it, we would have to, we always leave the x in the middle, but any number has to get out of the middle. So we're going to subtract 2, but remember it's a 3-part inequality, so we've got to subtract it and subtract it. Most of my students forget one side or the other. I'm not sure why, but you got 3-part inequality, you got to subtract it 3 times. Okay, and so if we were to graph this, then we would shade between 1 and 6. We would shade between 1 and 6, parentheses on the 1, parentheses on the 6. interval notation would look like that. All right. So -4 is less than x minus 2 is less than 5. So we're going to get rid of the 2 by adding 3-part inequality. You got to do it in all 3 places, don't forget. So my x is between these 2 numbers, which means I have to shade between those 2 numbers. Shade. Okay. Parentheses on the -2. Parentheses on the 7. Shading starts at -2 on the left. Shading ends with 7 on the right, and they both had parentheses. All right, same idea. We have to get rid of the 4 first, so we're going to add it. Guys, I want you to pay attention to this one. This one's a little bit more involved because we've got a -3x. Because this is negative, we have to reverse these symbols. So we have to reverse this symbol, reverse this symbol. Here's what makes it tricky. So there are 2 tricky parts. The first tricky part is remember to reverse the symbol when you divide by a negative. The second tricky part is we have to rewrite it with the smallest number on the left and the larger number on the right. Yes, you do have to rewrite it. And because we're rewriting it, we're switching sides, we have to reverse the symbols. So an equal to with a -5, we gotta reverse it, and not an equal to with the 3, so you gotta write it like this. Yeah, 2 tricky parts. So between -5 and -3, an equal to on the 5, and no equal to on the 3. So my interval, bracket on the 5, parentheses on the 3. All right. Okay. So